Hey everyone, it's Chris from Stamped Blessings, and I'm here today for my Wednesday workshop, and it's all about this beautiful card today that I cased from two talented Stampin' Up consultants. The first is Vicki for this emboss resist technique, and then the second is Tammy from at Stamps, Paper, Scissors for the look of tearing this edge and then layering it over an embossed panel. I just love how this card turned out. But I wanted to acknowledge both of them because this is heavily casing and inspired by them. So today's card, we're going to be working through this, but before that, I wanted to tell you about something I just learned from someone who was watching me. And that had to do with the hybrid embossing folder. And if you look back a couple of videos ago, I was saying how I found that it was better to first die cut and then emboss. And my viewer said, "Hey Chris, that's the benefit of having these hybrid embossing folders." So I'm going to just do that really quick before we get started on today's card. And these were the stamp sets that we're using in the card that I'll be making today. So, but I want to try this because I haven't even tried it yet myself. So before that I was die cutting and then I was embossing, and now I'm learning that, yep, you can do it all in one. So look at that, that butterfly lays right down. All I have to do is put on top a piece of paper, and I'm using yellow just so that we can really see it. Close it up and then make my sandwich, and here we go. So I really appreciate that heads up, and I'm not really sure who it is because it's not got a name, but you know who you are and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So let's see what we have here. That's my coffee maker saying I'm turning off. And I'm turning you off because I've had too many cups today. So, oh my goodness. Ta-da! That is perfect. And so much easier than die cutting first and then embossing. So look at that. That happened all in one movement. So, well, I'll be using this in a future time. But I just wanted to try that and show that live. That's how cool it is. So for today's card, it features Emboss Resist. And if you have not tried this before or it's been a while, it's one of my favorite techniques, but I don't know, I just get away from it sometimes, or some stamps lend themselves better than others. But we're going to go ahead and get started with this. And to be honest, it started as a full panel. And then I did some water spritzing with my hand. And if you read my blog today, I was really heavy-handed. So I had some huge water drops that just were so bad. So I ended up tearing the panel, and I really like how this card came out. So we're going to go ahead and take a 4 by 5 1/4 piece. And I'll use my Versamark, and I'll just go ahead and do my Stamping Buddy real quick to make sure I don't have random marks. I'm going to use this text from Elements of Text, and it is a text, yep. And that came about as a happy mistake too, because when I stamped my butterfly, I think I have a bubble in there, and it didn't give me a really good impression. So I ended up putting the text in to fill in the blanks, and I really liked how that looked. And then this side butterfly from Beautiful Butterflies. And today is actually the first day I've been using these stamped images, so it's about time. So I'm just going to give it a quick, and you can see my stamp pad is well loved. And I am going to go ahead and tear this one also. So I'm just going to quick put down 3 butterflies, and then I'll go ahead and put some powder on them so that I can see where they're at. Then I keep my embossing powder, my white powder, in this little Tupperware, and I have this little plastic spoon that I think was like from a sampler of ice cream, or maybe when I bought the kids one of those lemon Italian ice cups, those packages in the frozen freezer section. I think these might have come in something like that, but I find it perfect for scooping out my embossing powder. All right, so I've got 3 butterflies down, and now I want to do my text. So let's go ahead and ink that up. And this is, now I do find with my red rubber that a lot of times I'm getting ink on the bottom edge. So I could either come with a scissors and kind of trim that off, or I just have to remember to just wipe my finger across it. So I'm going to put a little text down here. And you know, as usual, I got so excited about my little spiel here that I forgot to say, go ahead and make sure you like my video. If you're not a subscriber and you're watching on YouTube, I'd love it if you would subscribe. Leave me a comment. I don't really do shout outs just because, as you can see, I get right down into business and I kind of lose track of things. But I will come back and you know, answer any of your questions or comments. So, and I do love it when you do leave a comment and let me know what you like, or let me know how I goofed up. Like this last time, it was a valuable comment. And see, even here now, I still had a little bit extra. So I just cleaned that up with my thumb. Perfect. So at this point, I would stop and hot emboss my panel, but I've already prepared one for us off camera, and I also prepared the butterfly. So now we can go ahead and get started with our ink blending. Now Vicki had used a beautiful pink. It was she posted which 2 pinks she used on Pecan Pie, which is a beautiful brown. But I thought, oh, I can't copy her 100%, so I have to use a little bit of different colors. So I ended up going with the yellow, but really I ended up still having to bring in some brown, because just to make it look a little bit more vintage and just a little bit nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my yellow, and I'm going to sponge it on, and I'll just randomly sponge it. And you know, wherever you go down first, that's where it's going to be the heaviest. But each time you do these, they come out a little bit different. And I'm going to go ahead and just sponge this butterfly here while I have that yellow out. All right, and then I'm going to come in with a little bit of a lighter pink. It's almost like a peachy color. And I'm going to go ahead and do my whole butterfly here, the wings, and look at how with that embossed resist, it really just kind of comes to life there. Now a lot of times I will take a paper towel or a napkin then and just try and go over it one more time, just to let that resist show even more. And I'm going to come in with that light pink. And you could keep the whole panel. I think I'm going to continue and rip mine because I really liked how that looked. Plus I have some embossed paper ready. So, but I'm going to blend my pink a little bit into the yellow. And then for the last pink, I go with a much stronger, darker pink. And I'll end up doing that on the edges of the butterfly wings. And see, you can just see it kind of pop a little bit there. And then I'm going to come in here, and I start a little bit off the paper and then brought it on. And just I'm swirling that around. And really there's no right or wrong. When you are ink blending, it usually comes out pretty nice. So I made 2 marks ahead of time so that I would know where I wanted to kind of tear down. And I'm just going to go in here, and I love it. So while we have our embossing machine out, I did use the distressed brick. Oops, sorry for that glow there. I used the distressed brick because I just love that pattern. And so I would just push that through my embossing machine. And now I'm going to go ahead and die cut my butterfly. So that same die that I used on my embossing folder is what I'm going to use here. So that is what is so beautiful about this bundle from Stampin' Up, that not only do the stamps match these dies, but also that, so the stamps match and the embossing folder. So I really love it. Now I'm using this sticky tape that is not as sticky as it should be, but hopefully we'll get it through our machine. I'm gonna line up my plates real quick. Take a second, just, I think what I'll do is stick it off. But maybe it'll stick to the plate a little bit better. There. And now I'm gonna go ahead and feed it. And again, the trick is not to have your plates line up right at the edge here as they go in. You want to have them staggered. So let's see how pretty this butterfly comes out. And that cracking noise is okay. You don't have to worry about it because it does sound scary, but it's not bad. So it shifted a little bit, but it's not bad. It's still usable. I would say use a nice sticky washi tape when you're doing that. So I said that I had pre-marked where I wanted to tear this, and now I'm going to just go ahead, and actually if I tear towards me, I'm going to get a white edge. So here I started tearing with the top part down, and you can see that there is no color. Then when I started, I turned to this side and pulled on this piece, and that's what gave me that little white panel. All right, so that looks okay, but it's not really vintagey, right? So I wanted to go ahead and add my brown distressing to it. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and drag my ink pad across the edges, and I'm being really sloppy on purpose because that just kind of adds to it. And then from the elements of text are these ink splats. So these are more controlled than my random, you know, boom, boom with water. So I'm going to stick with these here, and I'm going to just touch it down. If I do second generation, I get a little bit lighter. I want to make sure I turn it a little bit. And let's go one more time here. And I would like to get a little bit up there. I can just dab it there. Perfect. So that's already now made it just a little bit more vintage looking. You can see. Grunge it up. So this card here is a top fold. Let me know, are you a top fold fan, or do you prefer always to have it on the left side? I tend to be kind of an open close like this, but I thought that this card would lend itself like that because now it stands so easily, so the recipient can put it up on their fireplace mantle or on the table and really show it off. So we're going to stick with a top fold card. And so for that, I'm going to just quickly make it. So I cut it at 4 1/4, a long way. So when I assemble my card, I want to make sure that I put down my distressed panel first so that I can make sure that I'm going to line it up like this. And I just wanted to dry fit it, and that looks really good. So I'm going to just glue it down quickly. Now, for the last month, actually 2 months, I have been coming live every Wednesday with my Wednesday workshops, and I hope that you've been enjoying them, whether you're watching them live with me or watching the replay or watching them on YouTube. But I have a wedding coming up May 31st. My daughter's getting married, and I'm finding that I'm going to be having a lot on my plate. So starting in April, I will be going to just 2 lives a month through May, and then we'll see how that goes through the summer, because then I might be taking my mom back to our home in Wisconsin. So I'm just not sure how things are going to look, but I want to keep it to 2 lives per month. So the first live will always feature my free card kit of the month, and then the second live will be kind of a technique card, maybe something like this. So I have some of this thread that I bought on clearance, this wavy trim. It was on clearance last year towards the end of the year. And I just love these loops, and I thought they kind of look nice for a butterfly. Now, I'm not doing a loop-de-loop because I don't want too much dimension, but just enough. So I'm going to glue those down in place, and then I'm going to cover them up with a sentiment strip. So let me go ahead and do that. And while that is drying, let's stamp our sentiment strip. That is where the shadowed shapes comes in hand, and I'm going to use Just a Note. Or did I leave? No, there it is. And I really want to get busy working with these two a little bit more. They're beautiful stamps, and they're perfect for really quick cards. So I just stay tuned for that. That might be coming up soon. But I'm going to do this Just a Note, and I'm going to stamp it in the brown so that we kind of continue that look of the distressing. And then for that, I'm going to just quickly snip a diagonal, and that works out perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and pop that up over those. And they're still damp enough that I can move them if I don't like where they are sitting. So I'm just going to quickly put on a dimensional. Doesn't take a lot. But that is how quick this card goes, even with all that embossing and that sponging. This looks like such an involved card, but it is really, really simple to make, and it is so beautiful, I think. So there we go. Look at that. Just a note to let you know that I'm thinking of you. Well, go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know how often do you do emboss resist? Have you tried it before? Is it something that you're eager to try? Hopefully my hybrid embossing tip was a good one that I shared today. I learned from it. So this was my first card this morning, and then this is my second card. I didn't do the water splatters, and I like it that it's a lot more controlled. But hey, lessons learned. Both cards turned out beautiful. Well, thanks for tuning in to my Wednesday workshop, and I will see you next week.